A bold statement. President Trump's war on crime raises eyebrows, especially when his administration's actions contradict the data. But here's where it gets controversial. Despite Trump's claims of a crime spike, the numbers tell a different story. Murder and violent crime rates across the U.S. have been on a downward trend, with a significant drop last year and a continued decline so far in 2025. So why the crackdown? Well, it's a move that coincides with cuts to other crime prevention efforts by the administration. Reporter John Yang takes us to Detroit, where community-based initiatives are making a real impact. In West Detroit, a summer basketball league is more than just a game. It's a part of Force Detroit, a nonprofit focused on community violence intervention, CVI. Their goal is simple yet powerful: to stop conflicts before they escalate. Force Detroit targets individuals at risk, offering support like mental health services and career guidance. One participant shares, "I couldn't even think of where I'd be without Force right now." The group's executive director, Dujuan Zoe Kennedy, has a unique perspective. Having grown up in the neighborhood and served almost 15 years in prison, he understands the community's needs. Kennedy explains, "We go out, find out who's responsible, and try to negotiate and mitigate conflicts. Mitigation gives us time to change a person's core beliefs." Detroit, once known for its blighted areas and violent crime, is showing signs of revival. Last year, non-fatal shootings dropped by 25%, and the city had its fewest homicides since 1965. But progress is at risk. In April, the Justice Department terminated grants worth almost $170 million for CVI efforts nationwide, including $2 million for Force Detroit. The Justice Department's statement to PBS NewsHour reads, "Grant recipients often provided vague support to law enforcement or crime victims. Taxpayer money must be used to further the administration's priorities and improve public safety." Kennedy responds, "Why stop something that saves lives and brings quality of life to a community?" In 2023, Detroit launched Shot Stoppers, a program to measure the success of CVI groups. CVI organizations devise strategies for their areas, and if shootings drop more than the city average, they receive bonus funding. Last fall, all 6 areas achieved this goal, with reductions ranging from 37% to 83%. Detroit Police Chief Todd Bettison, who helped create Shot Stoppers, says, "This saves lives. I can't have a police officer on every block, but community violence interrupters can move and influence in ways we can't." However, not everyone is convinced. Charles Fain Lehman, a fellow at the Manhattan Institute, studies crime and believes there are more promising interventions, like policing and fixing street lighting. Nationwide, federal cuts have left similar programs struggling. Tyrone Kent, director of Roca Baltimore, a city fighting its high crime reputation, shares, "We still have work to do. Even with decreased numbers, we're losing lives." Roca focuses on young men at the center of gun violence, like Savion Hardison, who survived a shooting at 15 and has been in and out of jail. Thanks to Roca, he now has a job and is working on communication and coping skills. Hardison says, "If there are fewer programs like Roca, there will be more crime. Why not keep the funding going? It's working." Roca's assistant director, Deandra Gordon, explains their persistence, sometimes making dozens of visits before a young person agrees to talk. "We see the lack of food, furniture, or lights. We meet those needs so they're comfortable enough to listen and see what we can offer." In April, the Justice Department clawed back half of Roca Baltimore's $2 million grant from 2022, despite objections from Maryland's governor and Baltimore's police department. Roca had to cut staff and pause new client referrals while their appeal is pending. Tyrone Kent emphasizes the programs are needed. Without them, the city would be disastrous. Charles Fain Lehman prefers federal dollars spent on hiring more local police. He argues that community violence intervention has more points of failure than simpler criminal justice tools like arrest or incarceration. LaTanya Abbas-Denson, founder of Abu Unity Incorporated in Newport News, Virginia, after her daughter's father was killed by gun violence, shares her perspective. "It's crazy because the violence can go up and law enforcement funding will go up. In May, 5 groups whose grants were canceled by the Justice Department went to court to get the money restored. A federal judge called the cuts shameful and likely to harm vulnerable communities and individuals. However, the court lacked jurisdiction and the case was dismissed. The plaintiffs, including Force Detroit, are appealing. Dujuan Zoe Kennedy describes the situation as trying to save someone while people throw obstacles in your way. It feels like someone's preventing you from saving the people you grew up with. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm John Yang in Detroit.